As the days grow shorter and the nights stretch longer, it's easy to dismiss the shadows in our lives as mere tricks of the mind. But sometimes, those shadows have a pulse, a purpose, and a past that refuses to let go. Relationships can start with promise, only to unravel into something unrecognizable, leaving scars that linger long after the goodbye. In these tales, drawn from the edges of reality, we explore the terror of love turned toxic, where affection twists into obsession and safety becomes an illusion. Remember, reaching out for support isn't a sign of weakness. It's a step toward reclaiming your peace. If these stories resonate too deeply, consider talking to someone who can help guide you through the darkness. Let me take you back to when I was 22, fresh out of university and navigating my first real job in a bustling coastal town in southern England. That's where I met Elena. She was a barista at the cafe across from my office, with a smile that could cut through the fog rolling in from the sea. We bonded over shared tastes in indie music and late-night walks along the promenade. But looking back, the warning signs were there from the start, hidden in plain sight like pebbles under the tide. Elena had a way of inserting herself into my routine. She'd text me during my shifts, asking about my day with an intensity that felt flattering at first. "Just checking if you're okay," she'd say. But it soon escalated to demands for photos of my surroundings or timestamps on my replies. I chalked it up to her past, a rough childhood she'd hinted at, full of instability. We dated for 8 months, but the suffocation built like storm clouds. She disliked my weekend hikes with mates, accusing me of secrets. One evening, after I missed her call while out with friends, my phone buzzed with 40 messages, ranging from pleas to accusations. The breakup happened on a rainy afternoon in her flat overlooking the harbor. I told her I needed space, that her constant vigilance was drowning me. She didn't scream. Instead, she went eerily calm, her eyes glazing over as she whispered, "You'll regret this, Liam. We're meant to be." I left feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. For a week, silence. Then the parcels began arriving at my doorstep. No sender's address, just my name scrawled in looping handwriting I recognized. The first was a keychain I'd lost months ago, with a note, "Found this, thought you'd miss it like I miss you." Harmless, I thought, until the second. A photo of me at work, snapped from across the street, captioned, "You look tired. Let me take care of you." My heart raced as I realized she'd been watching. I changed my locks and reported it to the local police, but they dismissed it as post-breakup drama without evidence of harm. That's when things escalated. One night, as I settled into my small cottage on the outskirts of town, a scratching sound echoed from the garden shed. I peered out the window, flashlight in hand, and spotted a figure rummaging inside. Grabbing a cricket bat for protection, I crept out, the damp grass muffling my steps. The intruder turned. It was Elena, holding a box of my old belongings she'd somehow acquired. "What are you doing here?" I demanded, my voice steadier than I felt. She smiled, unfazed. "Just returning what's yours and taking what's mine. Your attention." I backed away, but she lunged, grabbing my wrist with surprising strength. Her nails bit into my skin as she hissed, "You can't just walk away. I know everything about you." In the struggle, I pulled free and retreated inside, bolting the door. She pounded on it for minutes, alternating between sobs and threats before vanishing into the night. Shaken, I installed cameras the next day. They captured her returning twice more, once leaving a bouquet of wilted roses with a card reading, "Forever." But the real twist came when I reviewed the footage from that first night. She wasn't alone. A shadowy accomplice lingered in the background, their face obscured by a hood. Who were they? A friend? A hired hand? The uncertainty gnawed at me. Desperate, I confided in a colleague who suggested I relocate temporarily. I stayed with a friend in a nearby village, but even there, the harassment followed. Anonymous calls at odd hours, breathing on the line. One evening, while walking the dog along a secluded path, I felt eyes on me. Turning, I saw two figures in the distance, one unmistakably Elena, the other her mystery partner. They didn't approach, but the message was clear. Nowhere was safe. The climax unfolded on a foggy dawn. I returned to my cottage to collect mail and found the door ajar. Inside, items rearranged subtly. A book open to a page I'd read with her. A mug positioned where we'd shared coffee. Panic surged as I heard footsteps upstairs. Racing up, I confronted Elena in my bedroom, surrounded by printed photos of my daily life. "Why?" I pleaded. "Because you belong to me," she replied, her voice breaking. But as she advanced, her accomplice emerged from the closet, a burly man I didn't recognize, wielding a tire iron. Adrenaline kicked in. I dodged his swing and shoved Elena aside, bolting downstairs. I dialed emergency services while barricading the door. Sirens wailed in the distance as they fled. The police arrested them later that day. Turns out the man was her brother, roped into her delusions by promises of protecting family. Elena was mandated counseling, and a restraining order kept her at bay. I moved to London shortly after, starting anew. But the fear lingers, a reminder that love's shadow can eclipse even the brightest days. My name is Sophia, and for the past month, sleep has been a distant memory. The kind of exhaustion that seeps into your bones, making every shadow suspect. It all stems from ending things with Marcus, a man I once thought was my anchor in the stormy sea of city life in Toronto. We met at a photography exhibit downtown, both admiring the same abstract piece. He was charming, with a quiet intensity that drew me in. For 6 months, it was bliss. Weekend getaways to the lakes, whispered promises under starlit skies. But cracks appeared. Marcus's attentiveness morphed into control. He'd quiz me on my outings, demand access to my social media. "It's for us," he'd say, "to build trust." When I pushed back, he'd sulk for days, only to rebound with grand gestures. The final straw was discovering he'd installed the tracking app on my phone without consent. "For your safety," he claimed, but it felt like chains. The breakup was over coffee in a public park, leaves crunching underfoot in the autumn chill. He begged, tears streaming, but I stood firm. "This isn't healthy," I said. He nodded, but his eyes held a storm I hadn't seen before. Peace lasted mere days. Then came the emails from burner accounts. "Miss you already. Saw you at the market. Looked beautiful." I blocked them, but they multiplied. Paranoia set in. I'd glance over my shoulder on subway rides, convinced he was there. One stormy night, thunder rumbling like distant warnings, I awoke to a creak in my loft apartment. Dismissing it as wind, I rolled over until a faint glow caught my eye. My laptop, which I had shut down, was open, screen illuminating the room. Heart pounding, I approached. Opened tabs of my recent searches, emails I'd drafted but not sent. Someone had been here, tampering. I swept the place, finding nothing amiss except a faint scent of his cologne lingering in the air. Shaken, I added deadbolts and alerted building security. But the intrusions persisted. Groceries I'd bought appeared rearranged in my fridge with notes tucked inside. "Eat well, love." Desperation led me to confide in my sister, who urged me to stay with her. There, in her suburban home, I felt a semblance of safety, until the package arrived. Wrapped plainly, it contained a locket I'd given him, now engraved with "Always Watching." Inside was a microchip, hinting at surveillance. That night, as rain pelted the windows, I heard tapping at the back door. Peering through the peephole, I saw Marcus, drenched, pleading silently. I froze, but my sister called the authorities. He fled before they arrived. The twist came via a private investigator I hired.
Marcus had a history of similar behaviors documented in sealed records from past relationships. He'd used hidden cameras before, explaining the laptop incident. Armed with this, I secured a protection order. But closure evaded me. Weeks later, during a solo trip to a remote cabin for respite, I found a carved message on the tree outside. "Found you." No sign of him, but the implication chilled me. I returned to the city, surrounded myself with friends, and sought therapy. The experience taught me that obsession isn't love, it's a cage, and breaking free requires vigilance, even in the quiet moments.
I was with Nadia for 2 years, a whirlwind that began in the vibrant streets of Barcelona. She was an artist, her canvases alive with color and emotion, much like her personality. We met at a gallery opening, her laughter cutting through the crowd. Early on, it was passionate. Spontaneous trips to the countryside, nights dancing under string lights. But her fire had embers of instability. Nadia's moods swung like pendulums. Joy one moment, jealousy the next. If I admired another's work, she'd spiral into accusations. "You're drifting," she'd say, eyes wild. She'd follow me to events, blending into crowds, only to confront me later. I excused it as artistic temperament, but it eroded my sanity. The end came in our shared studio apartment, overlooking the Gothic Quarter. "I can't breathe," I confessed. She shattered a vase, shards scattering like our future. "You'll never escape me," she vowed, her voice a venomous whisper. I relocated to a quiet villa in the hills outside Madrid, severing ties. Months of calm followed, until the sketches arrived, mailed anonymously, depicting me in intimate moments, reading in a cafe, jogging at dawn. Each bore her signature style, with cryptic messages, "I see your solitude." Alarmed, I consulted a detective, who traced the postmarks to varying cities. She was nomadic, evading capture. One evening, returning from work, I found my door unlocked. Inside, walls adorned with her drawings, me sleeping, eating, living. A note: "Home is where I am." Fleeing to a friend's seaside retreat in Valencia, I hoped distance would deter her. But a beach photo appeared in my mailbox, snapped from afar. "The waves whisper your name." Paranoia peaked. I installed alarms, adopted a vigilant cat for company. The unexpected turn: a call from an unknown number. It was Nadia, voice trembling. "I need help," she admitted, revealing her own battles with untreated conditions. Part of me pitied her, but self-preservation won. I recorded the confession, aiding authorities in locating her. She was committed for evaluation, and peace returned. Yet, in quiet nights, I wonder if her art still captures my image. The ordeal reshaped me, emphasizing boundaries and the courage to seek aid before obsession consumes. These stories remind us that the line between love and danger can blur, but awareness and action can redraw it. Stay safe out there.